Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the level 1 Cleric Spells on a tier list. So the Cleric gets some really great spells in this game, and at level 1 there's some good ones and there's some bad ones, which we're going to be breaking down. So the first thing we got here is Bane. Not to be confused the Lord of Darkness. This is an... Bane and Bless are kind of like the opposites of each other. So Bane will give a 1d4 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws, whereas Bless gives you a 1d4 benefit to the attack rolls and saving throws. So these two are good spells. Bless is amazing. Bane, not as good. The reason that Bane's not so great is because you don't actually get to choose the targets that Bane inflicts it's choosing on. So Bane actually will hit in upwards of a 60-foot range. It does say 30 feet, but it does hit in a larger area, but you don't get to pick which targets get inflicted with it. So it is useful, yes, but you're better off with the concentration on Bless, like 9 times, probably 9 times out of 9. Like I think that Bless is... Bane would be B tier, and Bless goes into the S tier. And I'm going to talk about Bless too, because now Bane, you don't get to choose the targets, and they just get a debuff to their attack rolls, which is nice, but you're almost better off trying to get a different debuff on them, because losing 1d4 onto their attack rolls isn't the end of the world compared to what you have to sacrifice. Now, Bless, on the other hand, this gives you the increased attack rolls, and this is a level 1 spell, meaning we're going to be using it from the start of the game all the way to the end, because it's a good thing to have an increased hit chance on targets. This does require concentration, but this is one of the best concentrations that a cleric can have, especially early game. Now, if you notice that some people just don't hit their attacks, I've seen countless memes about Shadowheart not being able to hit her attacks, but pop a little Bless on her. She going to hit her attacks at that point. So Bane, they're both good. It's just the application of them. This one benefits your party. This one makes it easier for your party because you're going to debuff the enemies. But it's just better to have that increased attack roll because early game you're not hitting things as often. Plus the increased saving throw chance is nice too, since you don't have that great of spell save DCs. So that's a good one to have. Next we got Command. This is another S tier spell. Command can also, alongside Bless, these both can be used to the end of the game. You can upcast Bless to have applied to your entire party, but you can also upcast Command and have this applied to multiple people. Every time you upcast, it's going to target another person. Now, there's some really great usefulness for this. So, in Act 1, you can actually cast Command Drop on Voss and steal his sword at the very start of the game. This gives you a legendary sword that's really great, especially if you get the Yankee on your team, because they get all the benefits from it. So, that is really nice. Command can also really help out in terms of crowd control, because you can do Command Come to Me, and it'll make the targets walk towards you for one turn. What is huge about Command is it doesn't require any concentration, so you can crowd control without having to focus on a concentration, which is just massive. Command also is nice because you can make them Command Grovel, which will knock them prone, so you can knock people prone and then have your martial classes run around and attack with advantage. And that's especially useful if you have any weapons that have benefits on advantage attacks. So you can make this spell incredibly powerful. I always recommend having this on because it's so useful when you get this attack off and it just completely paralyzes the other team. So easy S tier. Next we got Create Water, which another S tier. I could go on and on all day about what's good about Create Water, but I'll keep it brief for you guys. So Water will apply the wet status on a target, so they take double damage from cold and lightning spells. Some of the most damaging spells in the game are cold and lightning spells. So Wall of Ice, Odaluk's Freezing Sphere, Cone of Cold, my personal favorite. Cone of Cold can deal upwards of 128 damage when you have Create Water set up, so that's massive. And then it'll also create an icy surface, so creatures will get slipping around on it, which is awesome. Also, Chain Lightning, which does maximum 80 damage normally, can be doubled to 160 damage, and that spreads to different targets. So you can also create water outside of combat, and it'll show you all the invisible targets that you'll be fighting, because Create Water actually reveals them, so that's one big benefit. But it also doesn't aggro. You can create water on a group of enemies ahead of combat, and they won't even do anything about it. So you can do Command create water, drop that down, and then have your wizards or spell casters in general cast their cold and lightning spells and deal double damage. So extremely useful. I would even recommend, if you're a cleric at level 11, take your next level in wizard and then take some spells that you're able to benefit from. So yeah, that's an easy S tier for me. Next we got Cure Wounds, which is okay. This is a 1d8 heal plus your spellcasting modifier. So at max, you can do like you can also upcast, I should say. So it does 1d8, and then every time you upcast it, it does an additional 1d8 of healing. So that's nice. But there's a couple big downsides to this. So it requires you to touch the target. So you have to move in towards wherever they're at. So if they're up in the front line combat, you may get some opportunity attacks. Not ideal. This spell's not bad, but Healing Word is a 1d4 versus the 1d8. But this can be cast up to 18 meters, and it uses a bonus action. So Cure Wounds, I'm going to put in the C tier. Most times in Baldur's Gate 3, you're better off not healing and just dealing damage or helping the team out in some other way. So it could be an F tier. I'd never use Cure Wounds. I always use, well, I guess we'll talk about Healing Word next. So what's nice about this is it uses bonus action versus an action, and it can be cast at a distance, so you don't have to go up and touch them. I might even move that down to F tier. It's not great. If you need a panic heal, it's a little bit more healing than Healing Word. But I'm going to put Healing Word in the A tier because that bonus action is huge. If you have a teammate that went down and you need to bring them back up, instead of running over to them to pick them up and using your action on it, you can actually just use Healing Word, use your bonus action, and do it from 18 meters. Massive. That just makes it so much better of a spell. Also, there's some gear that you can get in the game that'll apply Bless to a target that got healed and will apply Blade Ward. So having physical damage and increasing your attack rolls and saving throws can be easily done as a bonus action, level 1 spell slot. So massive for that. I think that's probably the best healing spell at level 1 by a good margin, just because of the extra benefits that it brings. Next, we got Guiding Bolt. Now, Guiding Bolt, this is typically the spell that people say Shadowheart misses with all the time. So it deals radiant damage, but the added bonus, it does 46 of radiant damage. The bonus to this is it gives you advantage on your next attack roll. So radiant damage is good early on in the game, especially in Act 2, because the shadows are vulnerable to radiant damage, so they'll take double damage from this. But it also helps your team because it gives them advantage on their next attack roll. For an early game damage option, it's not a great spell, don't get me wrong, but at level 1, applying benefits to your team, so you have Bless up, you got your heals there. Guiding Bolt's a pretty okay spell to use, especially if your team isn't hitting their shots as often. You can give yourself advantage on your attack rolls to make sure that your next shot don't miss. Next, we got Cause Wounds. I forget the name of this. Necrotic damage. I know that it's 3d10 of necrotic damage, which is, it looks pretty good. It's 3 to 30 damage at first level. Inflict Wounds, that's the name of it. So Inflict Wounds, 3d10 necrotic damage. So necrotic damage is a weird damage type because in Baldur's Gate 3 we fight a lot of undead, and they're resistant to necrotic damage, or sometimes straight up immune to necrotic damage. So it can be good, but oftentimes you're finding it's not going to be dealing any damage at all because a lot of the targets that we're fighting are undead. So sometimes it's just better to go with like your Guiding Bolt or your Sacred Flame, honestly, or just a straight up weapon attack. It's okay, especially if you're going against something that's not weak or not invulnerable, resistant to necrotic damage. It can be useful, but meh. Next, we got Protection from Evil and Good. So this is an interesting one. It makes it so that a celestial, a fae, a fiend can't inflict charm or frightened on your character. And the biggest benefit and the most important benefit is it gives them disadvantage on attack rolls. Now, disadvantage on attack rolls is probably the best thing that you can do in Baldur's Gate 3. What that does is it gives you 2 dice. The enemy gives 2 dice to roll. They roll both of them, and you take the lower result. So it means they're likely going to miss a lot of attacks. Now, this only works on so many targets, and it requires concentration. Not the most useful. I would probably put a C tier because just in the grand scheme of things, you're not going to be using this one that often. So you're better off holding concentration on Bless, or if you really want to, Bane. So yeah, I'm going to put that in the C tier. Next, we got Sanctuary. This is another S tier option. So this is a bonus action. It makes it so that targets can't target you, or you are the target of this spell. So you can apply this to your wizard and your cleric, and they're both safe. Now, there's some interesting little, I guess, cheese that you can do with this. Because if you cast this on someone that has Moonbeam, typically Sanctuary would end if you damage someone. or if you throw. So if you throw a healing potion on the ground to heal your team, it'll actually break Sanctuary because it counts as a lethal attack because a throw can hurt. But if you cast Moonbeam, for some reason it does not break Sanctuary. So you can use Sanctuary and Moonbeam it up. Also, you can cast Sleet Storm. So if you have a Druid, it's actually not a bad idea to put Sanctuary on them because you can cast a Moonbeam and Sleet Storm to interrupt concentrations and deal a little bit of radiant damage while still having your Sanctuary. This can actually save you in a lot of situations too, early in the game where you have some squishier classes like wizards. So you can drop that on them and it'll keep them safe. It's just nice. Finally, we got the Shield of Faith. This gives it a +2 to armor class. It does require concentration. It's good. Like, typically early in the game, you want to get your armor class up to 21 as early as possible. This will make it so that you're less likely to get hit. And this is a nice little boost, +2. I'm going to put in the A tier. It's one that I usually have equipped, but I don't use all the time because Bless is the far superior concentration to hold. So as far as level 1 spells go, it's not bad to have that increased armor class, but you're almost better to not use a level 1 spell slot on it because a +2 to armor class is good, but is it really worth that level 1 spell slot when you only have a few at the start of the game? It really shines at like level 3, 4, 5-ish, and then it kind of peters off, but still not bad. If you're competing for concentration, Bless wins all the time. So there it is for level 1 spells from the Cleric. Bless, Command, Create Water, and Sanctuary obviously being the best. Healing Word could also be an S tier compared to Cure Wounds, so that could go up a bit. Guiding Bolt, these two are okay. They could even be B tier ones. You're not going to use them much as you get higher level spells, but there it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video fun, please hit that subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.